Hello, 5th grade artists. I'm super excited to share our project with you this week. This is an animal collage, and it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. I think it's a perfect activity for our virtual learning because it's going to allow you to go on a bit of a scavenger hunt around your house to look for paper. This is two components. So the background is made from a variety of papers, which we'll talk about in a second, and then the eyes and the nose are put on separately. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go on a little treasure hunt around your house and look for any kind of paper you have. It can be old pieces of construction paper. It could be a piece of printed paper. It could be one of my favorite things to use are magazine pieces of paper. So just find a magazine that you're allowed to cut up and use that. The other thing it can be is paper that you've made on your own. This is an example of one I made where I simply took crayons or pastels, and then I've painted over it with watercolor to create a resist, and I've already started to cut it up. You want to get as many different sorts of papers as you can and then have them as a collection. Once you've done that, you're going to get a larger piece of paper. Now, this is a large project, and I know that I don't have big pieces of paper like the ones in our classroom. So a little way around that is to get, if you just have copy paper, that's fine. You're going to want to take 2 or 4, depending on how large you want it to be. And I would just tape them together. So if you want it to be 2, you could do that. If you want to make it really large and go 4, and that can be your background. And even copy paper for this will be totally fine because you're going to glue all these pieces on. The way that you do this is you take those papers that you've collected, and you can see the one that I made is in here, and you're going to cut strips. And all you're going to do is start gluing them on the paper in a radial fashion. So we've talked about radial before. Starts in the center, goes out. And your goal, let me show you the example again. The goal is that you have the center point and everything is radiating out from that. So by the time I'm done, I'm going to have these strips all the way around, and really my white paper won't be showing because I will have covered them with the strips, okay? That's the first part. You're going to have that all covered, and I've got my magazines in here, I've got construction paper, I've got it all, but really it's an opportunity to use whatever is lying around. Newspaper, I wish I had some newspaper, I didn't have any. You might have newspaper, that would be great, whatever you're thinking. The next piece is to get a piece of white paper, and you're going to create the eyes and the nose, which is what I've done here, okay? The first thing you want to do is you want to draw the eyes with pencil and the nose with pencil. And so I drew 2 eyes, and then I painted the outside with a watercolor. Now, if you don't have watercolors, use a black marker. That'll be great. If you'd like to use watercolors, remember, I'm happy to drop things off to you for that. I did use the watercolors for the outline, and then I used them a little bit for the inside of the nose, but mostly what I used were pastels, and you could use crayons in the same way. I actually don't have crayons at home. I needed to grab some crayons. But what you want to do for the eye in order to give it this interesting look is you want to choose 3 colors that are analogous. And what that means is that they are on the color wheel next to one another. So they could be, I'm going to pull the ones up I did, they could be cool colors, they could be warm, but they should be ones that are next to one another on that color wheel. And I will send with this an image of the color wheel so you can just refer to it because I think that's an important piece of this. That'll be a link with this video. So I chose these colors, and then the first thing I did is I went around the edge and I just pushed pretty hard so that I was getting that deep dark blue, and then went all the way around, as you can see, all the way around. Then I moved to my second lighter color, did the same thing, and then my lighter color, and then I just sort of tried to blend in between the spaces so that it all went together. Notice that when I was doing this either with paint or Sharpie that I did the pupil and I left some white specks because our eyes, just like animals' eyes, do have those glints of white, and that will make it look realistic. I did the same thing on the nose. I did the outline with a black either Sharpie or pencil. The example I showed you, and I'll go back to that in a second, was a cat. I was doing a dog. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't even have to be a cat or dog. It could be any kind of animal. Remember that a lot of animals, though, their nose can start with that curly shape and then a line coming down, and then you can build it up. And that's how we would do a dog or a cat's nose, it's a great place to start. You can modify it, but that's a great way to start. And then to follow up with on the nose, after my paint had dried, I just went back and I added some other colors that I then blended in. So that's how I'm getting that smear of black. And then my plan would be to cut that out and glue it on so that I have my eyes and my nose. Now, if you want to, depending on what you have in the middle, you could also go back either with your pastel or crayon or paint and paint some in. You could also collage this in. The first one I ever did, I didn't have the paint at home, so what I did was this middle area where it's white, I didn't want the strips to be showing in that area, so in this part. So all I did was I took some copy paper and I tore up a bunch of pieces and I made that part white. I really like that effect you can see here because it makes it look a little bit textural, like the fur of an animal. So this project is a really great opportunity to go around and, like I said, hunt for materials that you have around your house and just be creative. Think about when you're creating the eyes, that process of getting a gradation in, so going from dark to light. We've done a lot of things with value this year, so I know you'll be really good at that. And like I said, I will put a color wheel in so you can look for those analogous colors, the neighbors on the color wheel. Please let me know if you have any questions or if you need any supplies, and I can't wait to see these masterpieces. Have fun. Thanks. Bye.